Well, thank you so much, Sletiwe. They're coming from Durban, speaking to those families and ultimately putting faces to those 121 dockers. And of course, as well, our team in Pretoria wrapping up day one of the much anticipated commission. Of course, and as we continue our coverage of the KZN Police Commissioner's testimony on the first day of the Madlanga Commission, joining us now in studio to help us unpack General Mkhwanazi's damning claims and what they mean for the country's criminal system. I am joined by security specialist Kyle Condon. Thank you so much for your time. It was really much anticipated for the first day. We knew that when the General took the stand, it was really going to be an eventful day. But he's mentioned something in particular very early on in the beginning of the day, and that was South Africa's criminal and justice system is on the brink of collapse, saying so much needs to be taken, urgent steps to prevent this. What is the tipping point for the country currently?
Well, thanks, first of all, for allowing me to come and share this with you and express my views on the matter. I've got to say, it's a pretty exciting day in terms of, not exciting because of good things, but it is a watershed day. I think this has been a long time coming. South Africa's overall justice system, in my opinion, is pretty much what the General has said, pretty much close to collapsing. We've just heard from families that sit for years without cases being resolved, serious cases. It is truly at that point now. So where the General has made these accusations, those need to be proven. But for me, what is greatly, or what is hugely important is the fact that he's opened people's eyes. He's brought the whole justice system, including policing, into our living rooms and brought attention to possibly those who don't want it. And I think that's fantastic. Let's just hope that his intentions are noble and there isn't something that comes out during all of this that, kind of puts the brakes on this commission. We've seen commissions before that, in effect, can be toothless. So we're hoping maybe this is the one that brings us change, gets policing back on track to where it should be, because it's nowhere close to that. Never, I would say probably for the last 20 years, it's been eroded, and it's become a bit of a joke, and there's no confidence.
Yeah, and there was a particular point where he warned about those criminal syndicates and those politicians that have infiltrated essentially the police and the justice system. And dropping names as he was doing this, in fact, speaking of some of those underground kingpins. But what does that actually look like on the ground? He spoke about threats made to detectives, prosecutors, judges, bribes. What does it look like on the ground?
Well, it starts and it takes its shape from intimidation, and I'm talking about intimidation as in people on the ground, policemen on the ground get scared to investigate cases properly. Whistleblowers, they just get taken out. There seems to be no repercussion. The frustration then with the police, and I'm talking at junior rank level, those detectives and those working in police stations, is there's no confidence in the top brass. So what happens is that crime just gets to do what it does, and it grows like a cancer. And we, as citizens of this country, get frustrated and stop reporting crimes because we say, what's the point? And so this snowballs and snowballs. Then it shoots right up to the top echelon where it's tenders, etc. But the corruption and then the apathy that has been out there comes together, and it leads to a situation where, if I want someone out the way because I want a tender, or a tender is up for grabs and I don't want competition, and I've got a friend, I can just eliminate them. And I know it's not going to get investigated because at some point the police themselves are going to get intimidated. And I think that's what's happened here. Well, not in here, but this is what's happening in the country. And this is the type of thing he is saying is happening. And you've got to agree with him. Until it's proved different, it's there, we can see it.
Yeah, but I think the next question has to be, to what end? We spoke about first what the police service initially was before it changed to the South African Police Service. As we know it was the police force.
Correct.
It had an agenda. Back then, we understood that it worked very closely with political parties. It had a government agenda then. But now, to what end do we see these kind of interferences, both political, both from dodgy businessmen, and as you've mentioned, that clamoring, of course, for tenders as well?
Well, I think, to be fair, and a lot of people probably disagree with me on this, but it is my opinion, I don't think much has changed in the way that the police is used by the state. pre-94 and post. I think it's just changed in terms of what the agendas were. One, rightfully so, in terms of getting rid of it and the name, the force, etc., was because of this fear and intimidation and linked to apartheid killings, etc. We know that history. The new one, or the new dispensation, the way it looks now, is that it's for self-gain. So we still use the police, and we still enforce our being those people at the top and these connected few, still use their influence to get what they want, but it's not political, it's not for freedom, it's not for anything like that. This one's about money, and it's about filling the coffers. And so it's the same problems, just different faces, with a different name.
Yeah, and I think, of course, as we close our conversation, day one of the Madlanga Commission, from your side, what are you anticipating for the next few days? Yeah, I'm excited. I think, again, I say I'm excited for the wrong reasons, perhaps for some people, but I'm excited. I think this is needed. As a law enforcement consultant and as somebody who comes from the investigative side of things, I'm excited to see this go somewhere. I'm excited. This is early days. I mean, day one, day two, probably still just going to be, for those who tuned in waiting for some explosive revelation, no, not yet. I hope it comes, and I hope it comes in the form of evidence. It doesn't help just making the accusations. Truly hope that that develops to that, and then the commission doesn't, it's not just the commission. Thereafter, there are charges. We see people in the dock. That's what I'm hoping for, and I think, you know, going on what he said prior, that's where he's leading to. I think that's fantastic. Let's see it. Bring it out. Let's see it. I'd like to see the people at the top squirming. I honestly would. Yeah, and let's test those allegations. Thank you so much for your time.